As the cold winds of early spring sweep across the shores of Lake Erie, the city of Cleveland, hardened by decades of heartbreak and unwavering loyalty, once again turns its eyes toward the future. The Cleveland Browns, a team synonymous with grit, resilience, and a fan base that bleeds orange and brown, have entered yet another chapter of rebuilding, of transformation, in hopes that glory may yet again grace the storied franchise. It's NFL draft season. And for the Browns, this period of strategic reconstruction isn't just about statistics or tactical depth. It's about redemption. It's about rewriting a narrative that has too often ended in disappointment. But even before the bright lights of the draft stage flicker on and names are called out to the roar of anticipation, the front office is quietly, methodically shaping the roster. And on a seemingly uneventful Monday, they made a move that, while not seismic, carries the kind of weight that stories are built on. In a decision that speaks as much to hope as it does to strategy, the Cleveland Browns announced the signing of defensive end Julian Okwara. The terms of his deal remain undisclosed, a silent mystery in the background of an otherwise public spectacle. But what is known, what cannot be ignored, is the path that led Julian to this moment. A journey born of continents, of adversity, of ambition. A journey far from ordinary. Julian Okwara, just 27, brings with him not just muscle and speed, but a life lived between worlds. Born in the historic city of London, England, a child of diaspora and heritage, Julian's early years were shaped not on American gridirons but under the African sun. He spent his childhood in Nigeria, in the bustling cities of Lagos and the serene communities of Lekki. It was there, far from the cheering crowds and flashing cameras, that he began to develop the inner strength that will carry him across oceans. He would eventually leave Nigeria behind in his youth, arriving in the United States in the 3rd grade. A foreign land, a new culture, an unfamiliar language, but a growing flame within. Like many young immigrants, Julian faced the dual challenge of adaptation and self-discovery. But it didn't take long before he began to channel his energy into the raw, unforgiving world of American football. In high school, Julian rose above the noise and chaos to become a 4-star recruit, a badge earned through relentless effort and fearless ambition. He wasn't just a promising athlete, he was a symbol of what's possible when talent meets tenacity. That path led him to the hallowed halls of Notre Dame, a university steeped in tradition, where legends are born and where the echoes still cheer. At Notre Dame, Julian wore the golden helmet with pride, etching his name into the school's history with each thunderous tackle and each breathless sack. Over 4 seasons with the Fighting Irish, from 2016 to 2019, he racked up 77 tackles, 46 of them solo, along with 14.5 sacks that left quarterbacks gasping for air. He added to his resume with 2 interceptions, a pass defended, 4 forced, fumbles, and a fumble recovery. But more than the numbers, it was his presence, his ability to shift momentum, to bring energy that set him apart. Football, however, runs in the Okwara bloodline. Julian's older brother Romeo was a beacon before him, first at Notre Dame, then in the NFL, playing for the New York Giants and the Detroit Lions from 2016 to 2023. The Okwara brothers, bonded by blood and drive, stood as proof that greatness often travels in pairs. In 2020, Julian took his talents to the professional stage, drafted in the 3rd round by the Detroit Lions. For 4 seasons, he wore the Honolulu blue and silver, fighting for space on the field, making his presence felt in one of the league's toughest divisions. In Detroit, he tallied 54 tackles, 9 sacks, 1 interception, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. He was a defensive force, carving out his place in a league where every snap can make or break a career. But football is as much about change as it is about stability. And our highs are often fleeting, the lows unrelenting. After his stint in Detroit, Julian sought a new home with the Philadelphia Eagles. Yet despite his hunger, he couldn't crack the final 53-man roster. The dream didn't die. It simply shifted. He moved on to Arizona, joining the Cardinals in what would be a season of resilience. In 13 games, he made 18 tackles, including 3 for loss, a sack, and a pass defended. Modest numbers to some, perhaps, but in a sport where every inch is earned in pain, they reflect a man unwilling to give up, a man still fighting. And now he stands at the doorstep of a new opportunity in Cleveland. For the Browns, Julian's signing isn't just about filling a roster spot. It's about embracing the underdog, the fighter, the one who still believes in something bigger. The Browns know better than most that greatness doesn't always arrive with fanfare. Sometimes it creeps in quietly in the form of a man who has traveled the world, battled through rejection, and refused to let the world define him. Julian Okwara is not just another athlete added to a 90-man roster. He is a symbol, a reminder that football is more than just a game. It's a crucible of identity, passion, struggle, and redemption. It's a stage where the forgotten can become legends, where every play has the power to turn pain into triumph. The Browns are building something. Slowly, steadily, their eyes are fixed on a horizon they've long been chasing. And perhaps in Julian, they found another piece of that elusive puzzle. Not the final piece, but an important one. A warrior forged across continents, determined to leave his mark. Not just on the field, but on the very soul of the city that now welcomes him. Cleveland may be a city accustomed to the weight of waiting, but in stories like Julian's, there's a flicker of something new, a hope, a possibility, a spark. And sometimes that's all it takes. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you like the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns! If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. In the latest collaborative mock draft from ESPN analysts Mel Kiper Jr. and Field Yates, the Cleveland Browns are portrayed making a bold, calculated move that could significantly shape the future of their franchise. This time, the Browns are projected to orchestrate a trade to move up into the bottom of the first round. Not for a defensive cornerstone or a flashy wideout, but to secure a quarterback they believe could develop into a cornerstone of the team. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss. According to the ESPN mock draft scenario, Cleveland would trade with the Washington Commanders to acquire the numbered 29 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. With that selection, Yates has the Browns targeting Dart, a move that is both strategic and reflective of their long-term vision for the most important position in football. Field Yates elaborated on this choice during a special SportsCenter segment alongside host Laura Rutledge. The Browns have made their decision. They're trading up to grab Jackson Dart, Yates announced with clarity and conviction. He pointed out that Dart is not just another quarterback in the class. He's the most experienced in terms of age, and last season, he led the entire FBS in yards per attempt. That stat alone speaks to his aggressiveness and effectiveness pushing the ball downfield, a quality increasingly valued in today's NFL. Dart's a strong vertical thrower. He's athletic, and he brings a level of maturity to the position, Yates explained. On my personal big board, I have him ranked 35th overall, so this isn't a massive leap in value. But when it comes to quarterbacks, you can't afford to play games. You can't be too cute. If you wait until pick number 33, you risk the New York Giants or another QB-needy team leaping ahead of you. It's a high-stakes situation. That urgency to act is driven by Cleveland's current quarterback outlook, which is murky at best. With no definitive long-term solution in place, the team's quarterback room currently includes veterans like Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl MVP but nearing the end of his career, and Kenny Pickett, who has yet to prove himself as a franchise caliber player. Neither presents a convincing case as the guy moving forward, and that's exactly where Jackson Dart comes in. Yates didn't hesitate in stating his belief. Cleveland needs to bring in a quarterback they can develop and potentially build around. There's definitely room in that QB room for a drafted player, and not just as a backup, but someone who could compete for real playing time in the near future. As for Kiper's take on the pick, since it was Yates who made this particular selection in their shared mock, he offered a generally supportive perspective. Kiper acknowledged some of the questions surrounding Dart, but expressed genuine enthusiasm about what the Ole Miss quarterback could bring to a franchise that has been desperate for stability under center for decades. I like it. I really do, Kiper. said, affirming the selection with a tone of encouragement. When you're talking about getting fans excited about the direction of this team, this is how you do it. In our mock draft, we already had Travis Hunter going to Cleveland with the number 2 pick. That alone brings serious electricity to your offense. But what's the point of adding explosive talent if you don't have someone who can reliably get them the ball? Kiper then dove deeper into Dart's strengths, underscoring that the young quarterback has flown somewhat under the radar despite being an intriguing prospect. Jackson Dart has real upside as a starting quarterback. Earlier in our process, we were even considering whether New Orleans might grab him with the 9th overall pick. That tells you that people within the league are at least talking about him. Maybe he doesn't have the household name like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, but he has comparable tools. He continued. People underestimate Dart's arm talent. They think he's just average there, but he can make some tough throws. And let's talk about the athleticism. He's rushed for over 1,500 yards over the past 3 seasons. This is not a stationary quarterback. He's mobile, he extends plays, and he's shown consistent improvement every year since transferring to Ole Miss. That tells me he's coachable, adaptable, and ready for the next level. Of course, no quarterback in this class comes without question marks, and Dart is no exception. Even Yates and Kiper acknowledge that this year's quarterback class lacks a slam dunk, can't miss prospect. Unlike previous years where Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow commanded universal acclaim, the 2025 class is more about projection than proven dominance. There's no quarterback in this draft who has it all, Kiper admitted. Jackson Dart may not blow you away in any single area. He doesn't have the strongest arm, the fastest legs, or the most polished mechanics, but he's solid across the board. He checks every box, even if he doesn't obliterate any of them. And that matters. He's well-rounded, dependable, and fiercely competitive. That competitiveness in Kiper's eyes could be the difference maker. Playing in the AFC North, a division stacked with elite quarterback talent such as Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Deshaun Watson, the Browns can't afford to sit idly and hope things work out. They have to stay aggressive in the quarterback market, and especially in a conference that punishes indecisiveness. When you're in a division like that, you've got to keep swinging, Kiper said emphatically. You've got to go get your guy. And if Jackson Dart is your guy, then move up and take him. I don't think it cost him too much to make that jump. I like the move. It shows purpose and direction. In many ways, this potential draft day maneuver by Cleveland would be more than a roster move. It would be a message. It would signify that the Browns are ready to move beyond years of inconsistency at quarterback, to stop patching holes with temporary fixes, and to start thinking long-term. Jackson Dart may not be a finished product, but his trajectory, toughness, and tangible growth make him a compelling investment. Only time will tell if Dart becomes the quarterback Cleveland has been searching for since the days of Bernie Kosar. But for analysts like Yates and Kiper, this kind of forward-thinking approach is exactly what a franchise like the Browns should be doing. Planning, positioning, and going all in for the player they believe in. And in this case, they believe that player is Jackson Dart. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season.